Hey guys, V. Ragoni, Max, high performance real estate entrepreneur. So today we're going to talk about what I've been telling you to do. I actually have been out there doing it myself. What is that? Looking at some houses. Because you see, eventually this market's going to change. Now, stick with me, and at the end, I'll give you one of the tips that we talk about when we look for a house. Now, don't forget, smash the like button if you like the content. And let's subscribe to the damn channel. So, where are we coming from here? I tell people all the time, right now is pretty much not the time to buy a house, right? To buy an investment property. Interest rates are high, prices are still high. Prices are, but you got to know what the market is. So you have to get out there and look. And so I've been telling people during this period of time, learn the craft, right? Read the books, watch the podcasts like this, get involved in some real estate programs. All right, join the meetup groups that have to do with real estate in your area. They're there. Some are now online because of COVID. They never went offline. Went online, and you could do it just online. Every area it's called meetup.com. And then there's real estate groups in your area that meet once a week, once every other week, once a month. These are the places where you can go and learn. This is how you do it. This is V. Ragoni, Max, high performance real estate entrepreneur. And these are the things that I'm dropping for you here now. So get to meetup.com. Find out who the real estate programs are in your area and start going. Because what will eventually happen here is that we're moving through this cycle. Rates will start to come down sometime next year. We're assuming they'll start to come down in the second half, maybe maybe as late as the last quarter. But there's going to come a time where even if the rates don't come down right away, prices will actually start to soften more. And that's what I'm talking about here. It's like, what am I seeing? What has been my experience? Because my experience is no different than the experience of people that are actually going out there and they're actually buying houses. Now, I'm looking in the north. I've been looking at houses in the far northern suburbs of Chicago. And these are middle class to upper middle class areas. And what am I seeing? Well, let me kind of go through some of these houses. So we went to one house, over in the Libertyville area. It's a nice area. It's considered a higher middle class. I don't know that it's so much, upper middle class, but it's pretty high. They've got a lot of very expensive homes there, homes over $1 million. And, for Middle West area, that's an expensive home. I get it. If you live in California, that's just a dog 3-bedroom, tri-level. But where I come from, where I'm at, in the Middle West, this is what you got. So what am I seeing? Well, first off, I saw a house recently in which they had bought the house for about $230,000. I think the number was, about 6-8 months ago. And this was a big flipping company that buys these homes. The signs as you see on the corners, we buy, we pay cash, we just take it off your hands. Well, they took one of these houses off someone's hands, and it looks like it must have been an old person because they had one of them walk-in tub things that you see advertised on TV. But all they did to it, was paint it. They left the old countertops, the old doors, everything was old. But they put new carpet down. I think they put down this really cheap vinyl flooring that's supposed to look like wood. It's not even the clip-in flooring. They put all this stuff, that's what they did. They didn't spend a lot of money. They didn't do anything outside, right? And they wanted $130,000 more than what they paid for it. Well, it's been sitting on the market now for a couple of months. Now they're offering some money so if you want to go in and do some more work. But there was a time when they could go in, buy it right, throw a few bucks into it, not change the kitchen cabinets, not change the counters, just make it clean and fresh by putting some paint on the walls, the ceilings, putting a little bit of new carpet down in the basement, a little bit of new vinyl down in the kitchen and bathroom, and they could make $100,000, $120,000. Those days are over. They are choking on this house right now. Then what else am I seeing? Well, I walked into a house in the same area in which it was a tri-level. It's 3 different levels. And when you're dealing with these tri-levels, there's at least one level in which it's the lowest level, which has about a 4-foot knee wall, concrete wall comes up. And then there's what they call a knee wall that's built to make up the difference for the 8 feet out of 2x4s or 2x6s. Okay? Hopefully 2x6s. Well, anyways, I walk up to this house. I'm walking up the driveway, and the whole damn wall is like bowing out the knee wall on the one side of the house along the driveway. And I'm like, that's insane. Who can buy this house? It needs a structural engineer. Then I walk around the back of the house, and it's a disaster. The crap that's up for sale right now is ridiculous, but they want big prices still. They haven't reduced the prices just a little bit. What we're noticing is time on the market is extending. The other thing I noticed when I'm out looking, I've probably looked at about a dozen houses in the last 2 weeks. Like I said, when I tell you to do something, I'm out there doing it myself because I haven't looked at single-family homes in a couple of years. And I'm like, so what's really happening? How can I sit here and tell you stuff that if I'm not looking at it myself, doing it myself? What's a good buy? What isn't a good buy, right? What we're seeing is a lot of the houses that are coming up for sale, there's a lot of old people that have either been moved into a nursing home or dead. I'd say at least half the houses I saw were from old people, and they haven't done a damn thing to these houses in 50 years. And I'm not kidding. I mean, 50 years that they're sitting there, but they're not reducing the prices all that much yet. We're seeing a couple price reductions here and there, but what we're seeing is more time on the market. If it's a really nice house, it's still going pretty quick. So we looked in several different areas, and these are the kind of things that we're seeing. We're seeing pricing still pretty damn strong, but we're seeing the quality is what you're looking at is horrible in a lot of cases. But by getting out there and seeing it, I'm re-educating myself to what is the values of these homes in this area. That's what I want you guys to do. Get out there. Be able to determine what is a good value, what's a bad. We came across one house that looked like it's a damn good value. It took 12 to find one that looked like, why was this house still available? One of the reasons is it was owned by a bank. It had been under contract several times. Now, that's a concern. Under contract, then not, then under contract, then what's the reason? But as far as square footage, it was incredible. As far as design, it was pretty damn nice. But by going out and seeing all these other houses, I was able to make a more educated more of an educated, I don't mean guess or an evaluation of the value of this property. If I would have just have seen this house and no other houses, how would I know if it's a good value or not? Now, it's not necessarily a good enough value to buy as an investment, but if you were out there just looking for a house, you could say, wow, this was a good deal. It's not enough of a good deal for, like I said, to make it as an investment. It was getting close, but right now when I'm looking for a piece of property, if I'm looking for something to buy, I want to have that house down 20, 30, 40%. That's going to take a lot more hunting than looking at 12 houses. You might have to look at 100. You might have to look at 200. But what else are you doing with your time? But I can guarantee you, every person out there, that if you spend the next 3 weeks and you look at 100 houses, you're going to know what is a good price and what's a bad price. What are you getting for your money? What is an opportunity? Or are you overpaying? Or are you just paying what it's worth, right? As an investor, we want to buy it right. That means we want to get it, in slow times, we want to make sure we're getting it at a discount. When the market's hot, we just don't want to overpay. Sometimes you do a little bit, but you got to make sure that, number one, when you're looking for real estate, even if you're paying up for it, it still has to cash flow, right? It still has to have a positive cash flow because you're going to live and die based upon the positive cash flow. But in order to determine what the positive cash flow is going to be, you got to get out there. You got to see properties. You got to understand valuation. You got to understand what are the rents in your area. If you do this, if you spend $5,000, $10,000, $15,000, is it going to change the rent? Is it going to make the rent to a greater amount? Can you jump the rent to a whole different group of tenants? Remember, there's tenants out there that can only pay $500, $600 a month in this country. Yeah, they're not where you live, but they're in Alabama and there are places in the Mississippi. Then there's places where they can only pay, tenants that can only pay $1,000. Then there's tenants that can only pay $1,300. There are tenants that can only pay $10,000 a month. Everybody tends to have a limit, except for those people that we call billionaires. And even then, Look at what Elon Musk did when he was trying to buy Twitter, which is now X, right? He was selling all kinds of stock. He was doing all kinds of things he normally would never have done. In fact, he even regrets that he sold stock. But hey, different topic. Anyhow, you just have to know what are the rents in the area for the homes that you're looking to buy, for the apartments you're looking to buy. Do not just assume. Remember, when you break down the word assume, what does it say? It says to make an arse out of you and me. Don't let that happen to you. Know the market. Get out there. Start looking for properties. Start looking at property. Now, you're going to have some very patient real estate agents, but a lot of these people have nothing to do. They're very happy to take you out. Now, if you tell them you're on an endless tour of sightseeing, well, that's a different story. So, you are going to be a potential buyer. You are a potential investor. They just need to know that, but this is your phase where you're trying to determine valuations. And you're not going to do that just by looking at Zillow. I'm sorry, because property condition is really important. When I walked into some of these houses, especially when you see like an older brick ranch, well, it just looks nice from the outside, but you have no idea what it can look like on the inside. We looked at one that looked like it was 1950. Like we were in 1950. How do you determine that from the outside? Oh, they've got pictures. Let me tell you, don't go based upon the pictures. The days of buying property from afar, from a different location, those are over. You're going to get screwed if you do that. Now, we are seeing, like I said, what's happening is time on the market is starting to extend. You are starting to see some price reductions, but we're not seeing enough yet. It's coming. It is coming. The big key is, what is the spring market going to be? If the spring market ends up being a giant disappointment, because again, all homes were down by 4% of purchases last month, and new homes were down by over 5%. If that trend continues and it impacts, if they don't get with these interest rates the way they are, the new spring season is not going to be that strong. It's just not going to be there. That's what's going to because then you're going to have this more homes up for sale, more competing with each other for less buyers. And when that happens, then you're going to see some of these homes where the people have gone into a nursing home or have passed away. Those are the ones you're going to see with some serious price reductions. Now, on the other hand, there's such a lack of homes coming up for sale, is what I'm trying to say to you at the same time, because people who don't need to sell, who would just like to move, they're not. They're not putting their homes up for sale. And so there's such a lack of homes for sale that homes are still selling pretty darn well, except the ones that need more and more work. So the ones that they actually do something to before they put them up, like maybe paint the garage door, those are the ones that are selling. The ones in which they're doing nothing to it, and it looks like 1965, they're getting more time on the market. The more time on the market means that eventually they'll start to reduce the pricing. All right, so we're going to see what happens here. But it's coming, folks. So remember I told you, one of the things, that if you stay to the end here, we're going to give you something to take a look at relative to when you're going to go out and you're going to look at a house. You're going to look at a house and you're going to say, what is it that I need? What am I concerned about? When you first walk up to that house, there's two things I want you to look at. Anybody with eyes can see that. That is, what does the ridge line look like? That is the very top of the roof, the peak that goes across. Wherever that is, what is that ridge line? It's called a ridge line. It's the top of the V. Wherever that V is, it's the top of the V. Obviously, a flat roof does not have a ridge line. Wouldn't you agree with me? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about something with a gabled roof. It's got a ridge line. Is it bowing? Do you see it kind of going down just a little bit? Be careful of that. Along with that, look at how the roof looks that's going up towards that ridge line. Is it starting to bow? Is it kind of bowing in a little bit? Does it kind of look like it? Even if there's brand new shingles, take a look. If you see that bowing in, then you're going to have to make sure you get up in that attic and you take a look and you see how it's made. We're just talking about some basic. You're going to have a home inspector anyways, but you'd be surprised, how these home inspectors, what they see and don't see. I want you to be able to see some of this stuff. So, what's happening with the joists on the roof? Are they too small? Are they they're supposed to be 16 inches apart on center. In the old days, they used to use 2x4s, full cut 2x4s that actually were full 2 inches by 4. And they used to lay them things sometimes 24 inches on center. And so over time, you can get that bowing. So you want to know what kind of construction you have, just some of the basics. So one of the big takeaways here is hey, there's basically just three. Time on the market is starting to extend, which will then result in pricing to come down. That's one. The other is you got to get out and see the properties. You have to be able to determine what is a good value and what is a bad value, especially since we're in a changing of the market. It isn't just run out, buy something because tomorrow it's going to be worth more money. No, it may be run out, buy something, and you're buying it, and tomorrow it's going to be worth less money. You got to know that. So the only way you get around that is you got to buy something that's at a really good price. And the third thing is, when you're looking at a property, do it with your eyes open. Things that don't look good are usually not good. You can be a novice and see whether or not the ridge line is bowing in. You can see a novice to see whether or not the plywood on the field of the roof, the big part of the roof, right, that's going up towards the ridge line, if that's bowing in. You can see if the shingles look really old. These are things you can see. So start opening up your eyes and get out there and take a look. And don't forget, what do I say? What am I always saying? Think big, start now, and grow fast. Because if you get out there and you start now, you start looking at what are the properties, what are they worth today, you're going to know what a good deal is when it's time to pull the trigger. You're going to know what a good property is when it's time to pull the trigger. Well, thanks for joining me. And listen, hey, if you like the content, hit the like button. Don't cost you a dime. Subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. We'll answer some questions. Talk to you soon. Let's get out there. Let's make it happen. V. Rigoni, Max, High Performance Real Estate Entrepreneur.